Watch the corner of this screen. One instruction goes in, and instead of one AI grinding through 40 files one at a time, it spins up dozens of them at once, each taking a slice of the job. The result? A full code-base audit, fixes, and fresh tests, done in a single run. That's Claude Opus 4.8, and here's exactly how I'm using it to get big jobs done in a fraction of the time. Here's the problem with most AI work today. When you hand one model a big, multi-step job, audit this whole project, research these 12 sources, and draft a report, refactor this module, it works through it in a line. One thing, then the next, then the next. It's slow because none of those steps overlap even when they easily could. And on long jobs, it starts to lose the thread. The stuff you told it at the start falls out of focus by the time it reaches the end, so the last part of the work doesn't match the first part. You end up babysitting it, repasting context, reminding it what it already did, stitching the pieces back together yourself at the end. The bottleneck isn't how smart the model is, it's that one worker is doing a job that should have been split across many. Claude Opus 4.8 changes how that job gets done. It came out on May 28, 2026, Anthropic's most capable generally available Opus model, from the startup that's now the most valuable AI company in the world, somewhere around a $965 billion valuation, but the valuation isn't why you're here. Two new things are. The first is effort control. The second is something Anthropic calls dynamic workflows, and that's the one that runs 100 AIs at once. Let me break down both, then show you exactly how to use them. Effort control first, because it's the simplest win. With 4.8, you choose how hard the model thinks before it answers. There are 4 levels: low, high, extra, and max. And in Claude code, there's an even higher one called X high. Low is for quick, cheap answers where you don't need deep reasoning. Rename these variables, summarize this email, format this list. Max is for the hard problems: tricky logic, gnarly debugging, architecture decisions, anything where you want it to slow down and reason carefully. High and extra sit in between for everyday work that needs real thought, but isn't life or death. The point is, you're trading speed and cost against depth, on purpose for each job, instead of paying for deep reasoning on a task that didn't need it, or getting a shallow answer on one that did. You set the dial. The model doesn't guess. Now the big one, dynamic workflows. You give Opus 4.8 one large goal, and instead of doing it serially, it plans the job and fans it out across hundreds of parallel subagents inside a single session. Think of it like this. Instead of one worker walking down a long checklist, the model acts as a manager. It reads the whole goal, breaks it into independent chunks, and hands each chunk to its own subagent. Each one takes a piece, one file, one document, one stage of a debug, works on it at the same time as the others, and reports back. The model holds the plan together, tracks what's done, and merges the results into one coherent output. Because the pieces run in parallel, the wall clock time collapses. And because each subagent only carries its own slice, the model stops losing the thread on long jobs. Nothing falls out of focus because no single agent is trying to hold the entire thing in its head at once. This is what makes large code bases, multi-stage debugging, long research and draft jobs, and full end-to-end project orchestration actually finish in one go instead of dragging across an afternoon of back and forth. Quick note on cost, because it matters when you're running a lot of agents at once. The standard rate is $5 per million input tokens and $25 per million output. That's the same rate card Opus has carried since 4.5, so nothing got more expensive here. There's also fast mode, a version that runs about 2.5 times faster, priced at $10 and $50 per million, and here's the part that matters. It's 3 times cheaper than fast mode was on 4.7. So you're getting more speed for less money than the last generation. The context window is a full 1,000,000 tokens, which is why it can hold a whole codebase or a stack of documents in one session without dropping anything, and you can feed it text, images, and files. Hold on to fast mode for a second. I'll come back to it, because it's the key to cheap bulk work. So here's exactly how to actually use this. Step 1. Pick your effort level before you start. Quick low-stakes task. Set it low and save time and money. Hard reasoning or a job you can't afford to get wrong. Set it to max, or X high in Claude code. Step 2. Write your goal so the model can fan it out. This is the part people miss. Don't ask for one narrow thing. Hand it the whole objective and tell it to plan the work and parallelize the subtasks. Something like, audit every file in this folder for security issues, fix what you find, and write a test for each fix. That phrasing, a big goal, broken into independent pieces, is what lets it spread the work across subagents instead of crawling through it. Step 3, and don't skip this one. Verify the outputs. When dozens of agents return work in parallel, you review the merged result before you ship it. Spot check the changes, run the tests it wrote, read the flagged items. The speed is the point, but you're still the one signing off. Treat it like a fast junior team that did the legwork. You do the final review. Here's a real one. I pointed it at a project with about 40 files that needed a security pass. One prompt, audit each file, fix the issues, add a test per fix, and summarize what changed and why. It planned the job first, figured out which files were independent and could be worked in parallel, then fanned out across dozens of subagents. One cluster read through the files looking for problems, others wrote the fixes, others wrote the tests, all at the same time. A few minutes later, it came back with a diff showing every change, a passing test run, and a plain English summary of what it found and how it fixed each thing. The job that used to mean me opening files one by one for a whole afternoon came back in a single pass. I didn't have to manage any of the subagents. I just read the summary, checked the 2 items it flagged as needing a human eye, ran the tests myself to confirm, and shipped it. That's the shift. I went from doing the work to reviewing it. One advanced tip that saves real money. When the work is high volume but not deeply tricky, classifying a few hundred documents, summarizing a big batch of articles, tagging support tickets, simple repetitive transforms across a lot of files, switch to fast mode and turn the effort level down. Here's why that combination works. The task doesn't need deep reasoning, so you're not losing quality, and fast mode is 2.5 times faster at 3 times less cost than the last generation. Pair that with hundreds of subagents chewing through the pile in parallel, and a job that would have taken hours of serial processing finishes fast and cheap. Then save max effort and standard pricing for the hard, high-stakes jobs, the architecture decision, the security audit, the thing you can't afford to get wrong. Match the setting to the work. That's the whole discipline. You stop overpaying for tasks that never needed deep reasoning, and you reserve the expensive thinking for where it actually pays off. And if you're not touching the API, most of you are on the Claude Pro app, $20 a month, about $16.50 in India, you still get the core of this. You don't manage subagents by hand, but you get the same payoff by how you prompt. Hand it the whole goal, ask it to plan the steps first, and break the work into independent parts, and turn up its effort for the hard ones. Same principle. Think big goal first, let it organize the work, then verify. That's the workflow. Pick your effort, write a goal it can fan out, and always verify what comes back. If this saved you an afternoon, subscribe. New AI tool tutorials drop every Monday and Thursday. And tell me in the comments, what's the biggest, messiest job you'd hand to 100 subagents at once? Drop it below, I read everyone, and the best ones become full videos. I'll see you in the next one.